Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here. We're coming to you live from Congregation Beth in Missouri City / Sugarland, where every Thursday night we get together to study the teachings of Ramchal and hopefully together perfecting our character to the best of our ability. Wanted to share with you an idea from this week's Parsha. In this week's Parsha we talk about the Tabernacle. We talk about Moses coming back down after he receives the second set of tablets, after the Jewish people are forgiven. And then, what does it say right in the middle of the verse of the Tabernacle? Keep my Shabbos. Keep my Shabbos. Whenever you see the discussion of the Tabernacle, you also see, keep my Shabbos, keep my Shabbos, watch my Shabbos, protect my Shabbos, remember my Shabbos, constantly. To tell you, don't build the tabernacle on Shabbos. And our sages derive from that anything having to do with the assembly or disassembly, construction or deconstruction of the tabernacle is forbidden on Shabbos. So the obvious question is, why does there need to be an emphasis of not doing any of the construction of the tabernacle on Shabbos? I mean, we know Shabbos is the holiest day. Right? Shabbos is the holiest day of the year. I know people think it's Yom Kippur. Shabbos is even holier. And why would we think that you would be able to build the tabernacle on Shabbos? So there's a very, very fundamental piece of Judaism that we need to understand. Is that although you may be doing something good, you better make sure that what you're doing good doesn't come on the back of something bad. What does that mean? I mean, if you do a mitzvah, but the only way to get to that mitzvah is through a sin, don't do that mitzvah, and don't do that sin. For example, why are you putting me in prison for stealing? You know what I did with that money? I gave it to charity. Really? Right? Holy righteous man. Right? Don't do a mitzvah on the back of a sin. You know, there's a story that's told about Rabbi Yisrael Salanter. He was the founder of the Musar movement. And he was once on his way to service, in the synagogue, walking into the synagogue, and someone was putting on their talis. Now, you know the way people put on their talis when we do it halachically properly. So we're supposed to not only put on the talis, but we're supposed to first, before we put it on, we're supposed to wrap ourselves in the talit. So halacha tells us is we put the talit over our head, and then we gather all the strings together, and we put the strings over our left shoulder while we make the blessing. Now some people, because they're so fervent in their observance of this mitzvah, they take those strings and they whip whoever's in the way, so everybody knows how righteous they are. Right? Just don't forget how great I am. And what happened is that in the process of this person whipping his tzitzit over his left shoulder, he hit Rabbi Yisrael Salanter as he's walking by, right in his head, in his face. So Rabbi Yisrael Salanter commented about this. He says, why am I to suffer because you want to be so holy? Right? It's great you want to be so holy, but why do I need to suffer? Right? Meaning, if you're going to do something righteous, do it righteously. If you're trying to do a good deed, do a good deed without having an influence of negativity as part of it. So, it's great for us to do mitzvahs. The Torah commands us to do mitzvahs. But in the process of doing that mitzvah, we need to ensure that we are not doing it on the piggyback of a sin, doing something negatively. So I'll give you another example. This would happen many times where people would, they would have a visitor come to a village, and he was a great Torah scholar, and everybody wanted to hear him. So everyone runs to the front of the synagogue. We have to hear every word, every word. But you know what? trample people, run over people, knock into people, just for the sake of you want to, I want to hear what the rabbi has to say. I want to hear what the sage has to say. So, this reminds me of a story that I must share. My rabbi said that when he was my rabbi of blessed memory, Rav Beryl Eisenstein of blessed memory, of holy blessed memory, he said when he was a student in yeshiva, they were about to begin the class. Now this is already mature young men between the ages of 16, 17, all the way to people in their later years, people coming to hear the rabbi's daily class on Talmud in the yeshiva in Mir. And the rabbi says, the rabbi is about to begin, and there's the last few people running into the room before they shut the doors, and the rabbi gets the rabbi's about to begin, and the last two guys get there, and they look around quickly. They look around, and there are no more chairs. There are no more chairs for these two individuals. So they both run away to try to find a chair. They go to a different room, and they're going to pull a chair in so that they can sit. So, of course, they both get their chair, and they both come in, sit down. So the rabbi stops, and he closes the Talmud that he's about to give a class on. He says, today we're going to need to discuss acts of kindness. We're going to need to talk about chesed. And he points out these two individuals. He says, you both arrived at the door. You saw that there was no chair. You both turned around, and you found yourselves a chair. But someone who's in tune with doing acts of kindness, I apologize. This message has been brought to you by. So what happened is that the Rabbi says, you could have done the same exact act of bringing a chair, because each of you knew that the other one needed a chair. You could have brought a chair, but brought it for the other one. You could have brought for him, do an act of kindness. He could have brought for you, done an act of kindness. But people are so self-immersed that we can't think about other people.
Well, how do you know they didn't do that?
The rabbi saw they didn't. They both sat down on the chair they brought themselves.
Well, maybe the chair the guy brought was for the other guy.
But he ended up sitting on that chair. So what our sages are telling, this is just a side story which is not really relevant to the topic that we're talking about, but the idea is to never forget. It's great. Do as many mitzvahs as you can do. But don't piggyback that mitzvah on a sin. Oh, I'm doing such a holy, righteous thing, so now I can insult people, I can get people. I'm running to synagogue, what's your problem? There's a way to do it that's nice. There's a way to do it that's friendly. There's a way to do it with a smile. People sometimes get so uptight and they get so caught up with things. But we shouldn't lose our demeanor just because we're doing a mitzvah. Just because we're doing something holy doesn't mean that we can suddenly become unholy in the process of being holy. And that's the lesson we learn from the Jewish people and the commandment that God gives them. You want to be really, really righteous and build the temple? Yeah, but you can't do it you can't piggyback that on Shabbos. Right? There's a right time to build the temple. The right time is not on Shabbos. Right? Be holy, but don't do it at the expense of sin. All right? With that, my friends, thank you for joining us. And please like and share this video so many, many others can enjoy them. And you're welcome to join us here at Congregation Bethel every Thursday night, rain or shine, because Torah never sleeps. Every Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. in Missouri City /Sugarland. Have a wonderful evening, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us.